Welcome to your November 27 to December the 3rd, 2016 Tea Leaf Tasseography reading here with Red Earth Goddess. For this week, I'm exceptionally happy because I've created an atmosphere where you're capable of seeing the inside, most of the inside of the cup, of the tea leaf cup that I've drank out of. Usually I have to hold on to it and angle it up in a certain manner, but I figured out a way to kind of keep it angled in a position where you're capable of seeing the most of the cup. For this week, excuse me, my throat. For this week, most of the tea leaf has settled in that direction that you're looking at. So not much is actually around here. There's just little subtle leaves around from the other angles. But for this week, from the end of November, which is leading to the new moon, towards the first week of December, December the 3rd, the end of the month of the year, most of the direction that the leaves are headed towards is the see no evil. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel and my cup readings for every week, you will notice that I read out of a cup that's got owls on it. The see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And if you can see at the top, there is those verses and those words. And that is as a person who is a firm believer in shamanic animal totems and spirit guides, my power animal is the owl. It is a snowy owl in particular. And the owls are a breed that are very silent predators, and they listen and they understand the subtle messages that most people cannot see through. They cut through the illusions and they're capable of seeing. But when we are capable of seeing through another's disenchantment, illusions, lies, and so on and so forth, a lot of the messages that come through and the truth that comes forth can be hurtful, and people can take it as a harmful, in a harmful manner. However, part of a lesson is, as owl animal totems and power animals, you know, those of us who have them within us, or as power animals and guides, we are here to teach ourselves and to teach others that despite the truth of the matter, compassion is vital, self-love is vital, and when the truth comes out, it really has sometimes, you know, other people's truths are different from your truths, and your truths change on a regular basis, and the truth has to do with you, usually, and not about another person. And what that basically means is how you feel about another person has to do with you. Okay? If this helps you out in any fashion, it could be by this week you receive information. Maybe you may enjoy it. Maybe you may not like it. But again, the message is that despite whatever message you do receive, compassion towards self is vital. And that see no evil basically means that despite what you see, despite the truths that come out, remember to love yourself and remember to stay compassionate. The life lessons are, my life lessons have been, if I want to be in relationships, long-lasting friendships and relationships, I can't just not explain how I feel to other people and walk away from them and expect myself to have a long-lasting relationship, okay? So part of my lesson is to speak after seeing, okay? Because usually I wouldn't do that. I would just see and walk away. So that's a little message to start the reading by for the week. We do have a diary here with a background. Beautiful, beautiful feathers of freedom. Feeling the air. So We've got the animal feathers in the background. She's got it on her hair. Her skin color is color of the sky, but it is also the color of the earth because it's a blue-green, and it is the color of the waters, which is all about intuition and empathy and the winds of change. She's submitted herself to those winds of change. And to submit to oneself to that doesn't mean you give in to power, doesn't mean you stop, doesn't mean you see yourself lower or you don't know your worth. It just means you've done all the work and now it's time to let things be. Let the world take care of everything else. Relax, let yourself receive, and these are the messages for the week, okay? If I look into the cup, I'm seeing a very miraculous looking peacock, to be honest with you. Peacocks are very beautiful creatures, okay? I remember the first time I ever visited Hyde Park in Toronto. I was about 15 years old. I walked in there and they had animals all over the place that day. And the first thing I see when I walk in on my left was a red bull. Okay, there was like curls on this bull and it was red. And it was making eye contact with me. And I was making eye contact with the bull because I felt this kinship connection. Hence, my sun is in Taurus. And the eye contact lasted for about 5 minutes because I could feel and I can sense what the animal was connecting with me. It had a message to give to me during that time. And then I moved forward, and on my right, and these are the two animals that I'll never forget when I was there. There were more animals, but those two animals I'll never forget. And then I moved to this right, and I've seen photos, you know, from childhood of peacocks and probably documentaries and movies. But I moved to the right, and I see the most beautiful creature I've ever seen in my life, and it was a peacock. And just the colors, the shading of the blues and the greens and the purples on the peacock was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The way the shades would coincide with the sun gleaming on it, glowing on it, and just when it would open its wings and close its wings, and it had like this flower on its head, and it was just the most beautiful creature I had ever seen, and hence I'd never forget that. So the peacock is all about beauty, representing beauty. So for this week, I want you to come to that awareness of how internally beautiful you are. And when you are content with that internal beauty, accepting yourself for who you are, your flaws, your cons, your pros, everything about yourself, whether you have the answers or not, whether you can see the truth or not, whether you're compassionate or not, being and accepting yourself within that internal beauty shines outwards. It shines outwards and other people see through it. And when other people see through it, that's a magnetic attraction of bringing back forth to you that integral self of you. So when you're satisfied with who you are internally, that sends out signals to other people, and that brings them forth to you, okay? Now, in a way, that can attract all walks of life. But again, staying in your integrity means becoming aware of what works for you, becoming aware of what doesn't work for you. And the way you are aware of that is by experiencing life and becoming more concrete with who you are, content with who you are. There's kind of a phrase that kind of goes, and I could be butchering it or misinterpreting it or saying it false or in a way, but the point of it was something that goes, it doesn't matter what you say to other people, whether you say it or not, others will always take your words and turn it into something else. So, meaning everyone's perception and everyone's perspective will be different of you, even of your words, even of your explanations. Everybody will take it a different way. So for myself, for example, my auditory sensory perception is exceptionally strong. I may be clairvoyant as a psychic first. And what that means by being clairvoyant first is I get a vision of something first, and then that knowing and all that. And sometimes it can come back and forth, but when I see that clairvoyant, that vision of that feeling, or a picture of that person or who it's connected to, it's definitely confirmed that that's that knowing. But auditory is something different. I'm going to give you an example of grasping information, taking things in, learning. I am auditory. Now there's visionary, auditory, and telekinesis. Okay, so I fall under the auditory, and this is a test that you can do. I'm sure you can find it online, but a lot of business people, they do this. A lot of students, they take these tests. And the auditory, for example, for me to learn something, I learn best on my own. I may be a team player, I may be a team worker, but I learn best on my own. If I want to learn about a product, if I want to learn about a service, if I want to learn about a culture, if I want to learn about a religion, I can read. However, what I will do is search up and find different writers, authors, journalists, activists, writers who have recorded a recording, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's an iPod, music, because music for me is huge, whatever it is, and I'll listen to it, and it literally will take me 5 seconds in order to see if I connect to that person's perception or interpretation of what the teaching is about. Okay, so voice and auditory for me is the biggest way of learning and grasping. So I can listen to 1 to 20 different writers, authors, journalists, activists, and they can all be saying the same thing. However, 1 or 2 of them I will connect to most and turn the other ones off, because I like things to be very direct, to the point, and you know, that's just me, but that's how I take things in. And then I don't literally take in exactly what that person is telling me. I will take in what my perception is of his perception of that fact, whether it's about a philosophy, a religion, a scientific thing, whatever it is, or just something that happened, an event, or whatever it is, okay? If someone is screaming, I will be traumatized, and I will or remember that sound years later, rather than that vision of something traumatizing. If there's a sound behind that vision, or that movie, or that event that took place that was traumatizing, I will remember that sound over that vision, which is kind of odd, because I'm a clairvoyant first when it comes to psychic abilities. However, when it comes to learning, I'm more of that auditory. And I would probably say so because my vision is very dominant. Okay? So I'm just explaining these things to you because there's these things out there. If they can help you learn more about yourself, if you want to do a Google search about this test, if you want to learn more about your clairvoyant, your clairaudient abilities, if you want to know what it is, if you want to know what, you know, if you want to learn that there is more options other than just reading and writing, you know, nowadays there's YouTube is everywhere. There's you know, there's iTunes, there's the sky's the limit, guys. Okay. And, you know, I usually pick up a lot of information about what's going to happen in terms of this week, but this week, guys, I want you to take it easy. This week is all about you, and the month of December is all about you. It's all about patience. It's all about less pressure. I want you to take it easy. This week is all about you, and the month of December is all about you. It's all about patience. It's all about less pressure, receiving that wind of change, submitting yourself to that wind of change. You see the girl in the photo? Do you see how relaxed? Do you see how relaxed and joyful she looks? And she is. Be one with that. Become that this week. Okay? So that's the end of this message. That's the end of this reading. I do see a lot more, like I said. However, I want to end it here because when you are full, when you are content with who you are, when you are happy with who you are and you feel beautiful inside, again, you send out so many signals out into the world. Nothing but loving, beautiful signals out into the world, okay? So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon, okay? Leave a comment if you enjoyed this reading, and okay, so see you then.